Hey guys, it's Lazy, and I'm here to talk about my Kinetic Fusillade Totem Ascendant Kickstarter. So as you know, I love playing Totem build, and I also like to play off meta, but we got a situation here where in 3.28 they buffed totems, Kinetic Fusillade is unchanged, and now we had a bunch of people playing the skills, local pause around, myself included, and a bunch of others as well. Yep, this is going to be meta in 3.28, so much for off meta. With that said, I am playing this on a Scion because I think Reliquarian is a really interesting ascendancies and I want to league start on her. Which honestly not a bad choice at all. As a Scion, you can play Kinetic Fusillade Totem as early as level 12, the skills scale well throughout the campaign on a budget all the ways into maps, into endgame and Ubers. And when you play it on totems, it is just as comfy, beginner friendly with crit damage, smooth progressions from campaign to endgame. I'm going to provide you guys a really detailed POB with 12 different setups, progressions along the way, as well as a written guide on mobilitics to help you throughout the league. Feel free to like and subscribe if you want to see more updates from me doing the league as well, because I will be playing it. So here's the thing about Kinetic Fusillade. You need to hit the right breakpoint for the skills, for your totems to become machine guns. On the reason why I picked Scions, hitting the breakpoint is really easy and you can do it from just your tree and gems, starting at level 12 in the campaign. So I want to swap to this as early as possible, and I think Scion is the only class in the game that can do this. And I want to talk about how the skill works. If you already know how it works, just feel free to skip ahead. I'm just not gonna go too much into details. But Kinetic Fusillade fire a bunch of projectiles. They don't fire at the same time. Instead, they kind of hover before they actually release. How long they hover depending on your skill effect durations. And so you don't want your skill effect durations to be too high. Or if your attack speed is too high for the amount of skill effect duration or reduced skill effect duration you have, your projectile is straight up going to just hover. And it just feels really bad to play. The whole thing with the skills is trying to balance between the three numbers, your projectiles, your attack speed, and your skill effect durations. Now luckily we already have a community tool to calculate the exact breakpoint that you need to have, so I don't really want to go too much into the details, but once you have a POB of your characters, you just need to punch the number in and it will calculate if your number is optimized or not. Now, on why we are using totems, totem cut your attack speed by 50%. This means every other totem builds kinda hate this, but for Kinetic Fusillade, the lower attack speed mean you need way less reduced skill effect duration to reach the breakpoint, so it's gonna be really good on the budget. Everything else treat this as a penalty either way. The Scion, again, we can path in the middle of the tree directly to the reduced duration nodes very efficiently, and you end up just hitting a bunch of breakpoints in the tree, and that's the foundation of it. On the ascendancies, I know you guys are going to ask why Scion over Hierophant, so let's just get through it. Basically on totems, Hierophant get 1 extra totems and 100% totem placement speed from Pursuit of Faith, which is honestly really good. Totem placement speed, totem is getting buff, and 100% totem placement speed is just gonna make Hierophant feels great to play. Scion can get the +1 totem pathing to Hierophant nodes, and Tailwind from Ranger also make up for the placement speed, since it's kinda give you 8% action speed on everything. On damage, I think Hierophant gets tons of free damage multipliers from Ritual of Awakening, and crits from Condition of Power. Scion get that extra projectiles from Ranger, and you can also get like minus 20% exposure, 10 minimum shocks from Elementalist, or you can get +1 totems. The 10% shock is actually great for Kinetic Fusillade because the skill does a lot of small hits, and shock in PoE 1 scale off the hits, so the bigger the hit, the bigger the shock. So the guaranteed shock on the skill is always welcome. On the survivability, Hierophant has built-in mana recovery and endurance charge, just feel tanky out of the box, and you are on the top left of the tree. So naturally you just can go for block and armor and be tankier. Scion is like squishier by default. There are some options that you can do. I do have Aegis PoB, which is quite tanky for a Scion in my opinions. The max hit is still kind of low though, but I'll go over that in a bit. Basically, you take Gladiator, which give you easy block cap. You can path to Witch or Templar starting area, like path from there, so you get like easy damage and also spell block. And basically, in my Aegis setups, I'm cap block, and I grab attack buff from the bottom of the tree and spell block from the top of the tree. If you want my honest take between the two, I think Hierophant is the stronger option overall. It is tanky, easier to scale totem damage, it has great recovery during mapping and early game. Now if you play on Scion, it is going to be squishier by default. It has great damage, I think greater damage than Hierophant on a budget actually. It also have great flexible ascendancies that, yeah, if you want to swap into Reliquarian, you can, and you can also start totems at level 12, which is great. Overall, I have played Hierophant for the past several leagues as well, so I'm just gonna pick Scion for this league. As you can see here, this will be the PoB that I will provide for you guys in the written guide. Also, I will be updating the written guide on if there's any details, you know, progression trees and stuff, but I will also provide the PoB if I can. I don't think I can go back and update the PoE, so if you want the latest update, always make sure you check out the written guide. I'll make sure that I add whatever information that is relevant at the top. And basically in here, you can see that there are progression for the character throughout the act, all the way to the end of the campaign. I also do a practice run on this character, so all my items that I actually do a fresh practice run and I get, so it should be relatively close to what you will be getting on League Start. And I also do a mini write-up on how to get the gems. You know, the plus green sign is the gem that you add, so we'll be playing with Kinetic Bolt from level 1 to 11, and then we will swap over to Kinetic Fusillade, Volley, and Ballista totems, and then the tree as well as progressions all the way through at level 68, right? After the campaign, you'll be aiming for pre-crits and stuff like that. I'll provide written up info, I'll talk a bit more on that, but yeah, basically this is how you use the PoE. Always make sure that you choose the loadout, as the loadout will change the tree, skill, and also the items in here as well. In the notes sections, I have also added a bunch of tips for the campaign, how to use the PoE, and little small write-ups, you know, rejects for Act 1 and 2, what you should be looking for on wands, and there's a link to the calculators or the Kinetic Fusillade. I also have one link in the description of this video as well. The campaign breakpoint, which I'm going to talk about in the leveling session that is coming up next. So to level Scion, in the beginning we'll go with Kinetic Bolt and Prismatic Burst. You get Prismatic Burst from the beach, and then you just need to buy a starting gems from Nessa. I also do a Ranger Mill, so I have extra Scroll of Wisdom. I think it's important that you kind of do so, because we'll be buying items and we look for a good 3 link with red, green, and blue early on, so we can swap at level 12. But yeah, go with Kinetic Bolt and Prismatic Burst, and then at level 12, we are swapping to Kinetic Fusillade. If you can pick up any Iron Ring or any flat damage on your gear, it would be great, because Kinetic Fusillade does not really scale well unless you have some sort of flat damage on your gear. So you picked up Kinetic Fusillade, Volley support, and totems, and you will be starting playing that from level 12. On the tree, you path into a window of opportunities and take the duration mastery, and that you would have 10% less skill effect duration, 25% reduced skill effect duration, and then with the volley support, the totem penalties, you hit your first breakpoint. 3 projectiles, full machine guns with 0 hover. Totem is just gonna work when you plot them down. 2 things to keep in mind here. That you want to use only a 1/1, so do not dual wield. You get an attack speed bonus from dual wielding, and that's going to push you past the breakpoint. And the second, you can grab a wand with a 1.6 base attack per second, so that's like the most attack per second, base attack per second that you can get. But you cannot get any attack speed anywhere on your gear, so no attack speed on ring, glove, anywhere. if it has attack speed, do not put it on. It sounds a bit backward, but at this point we don't have that much room to wiggle because we are not reaching that point where we have less skill effect duration yet with the less duration support gems. So yeah, at this stage, more attack speed mean more projectile is gonna hover. Start of Act 3, you will take the 1 mastery for that extra projectile damage, and with more projectiles mean the breakpoint will also shift. So now you need to have a 1 that is under 1.5 base attack speed per second. At this point, you can actually use a Spiral 1, which is a level 24 one, so way before, you reach that 1 mastery for extra projectile, you should be able to pick up an upgrade that is a Spiral 1, and it is pretty common to get, and it's going to give you the right speed. And once again, no attack speed on gear still, swap the 1 and then you keep blasting. On Act 4, this is when the build gets really good. You get less duration support at level 31. Now, to use this, you actually need a 4 link, so do not use this in your 3 link, but rather you should wait for level 38, right? So at around level 38, you have 2 choices. If you have a 4 link with the right socket color, so Kinetic Fusillade, Ballista Totems, Greater Volley, Laceration, that is a blue, green, red, then you can start using the machine gun setups with less durations, with multi-shots. So that would give you an extra projectiles. Now, if you don't have that kind of color for the 4 link, do not take multi-shot. Instead, don't grab any attack speed nodes. Instead of grabbing multi-shot, you should path toward Watchtower, which is going to give you an extra totems. And that is good damage, because if you have a 4 link nevertheless, you can use added cold damage or added lightning damage, and those would give you relatively equal, if not a bit more damage than the actual less duration setups at this point in the game. But yeah, once you have a link toward, I guess, Act 5, you could gamble, or you could do the link mechanic, which is known to give you a 5 link, so that would be in Slay Pen. You also get another 5 link in beginning of Act 6 when you full clear the beach. So make sure that you try to, if you get a 5 link, great, right? If you have a 5 link or 4 link with the color that you want and can fit in less duration, that's great. Any flat damage is good, so with a 5 link, then at this point you can just add in added lightning, added fire, or added cold damage. And we are also grabbing precise technique at this point, and precise technique needs your accuracy to be higher than your life. Sounds like a lot, but then we don't really need to be too tanky in the campaign. With precision aura running, it's also quite easy as well. Just check your stats every now and then to make sure that you don't have like too much life. I guess it's probably not going to be a problem for a lot of player. Now, at level 59, it is the big moment. I think at this point in the game, if you have enough currencies, if you're playing Trade League, grab yourself a Moon Sorrow wand and follow my tree. This unique wand is quite common. It should cost around 1 or 2 C. With a Moon Sorrow in and less durations, you should take this all the way to map. And yep, so before level 59, you're looking for any flat damage on wand with a bit of attack speed on the base. That is completely fine. But around level 59, I spec'd into a lot of attack speed node because I use a Moon Sorrow wand which have no attack speed increase. So make sure that at this point, if you want, check your character in PoE, put it in the calculator. But if you are going to buy a Moon Sorrow wand, just follow my tree, picked up all the attack speed, and you still have that extra like around 20 to 25% increase attack speed on gear to kind of like cap out on the damage and like fully optimize it. But obviously you don't need that in the campaign. So yeah, I was around like 100k DPS, like pop DPS in the campaign, so you take this all the way to map, just kind of blast through the rest of the campaign without issues. And the clear is also great, right? Kinetic Fusillade also chain to packs and then do great single target damage with the tornado overlap. Anyway, so yeah, that's pretty much going to cover the campaign quickly. Before ending the video, I do want to give you guys some progression tips based on the PoB here. Just quickly explain my configurations. I have Tornado Shotgun here, 50% more damage whenever the tornado from Arcanist Brand is on top of the boss. The Kinetic Fusillade actually chain to the tornado, and do the AoE damage, right? So it's like double the damage, but it's not always on the boss. And then we are running Hydrosphere in the early game versions for the lightning exposure. Because I choose to go with Elementalist, we have bigger exposure, bigger lightning exposure, so you want to focus your gear, items, and stuff to have more lightning damage. So the more lightning damage you have, the better it is, which is why I also choose to go for physical damage. There's extra lightning here. It's very cheap and efficient to get your early game damage. And we're still precise technique at this point. This should be somewhere around yellow map if I would have to guess, and then eventually we're gonna do a crit swap later on where you swap out of precise technique and go into, you know, change all these no to crits. You also do a little bit of respec. I try to not use too much respec points, but yeah, do save your point in case you run out of gold, right? We have a little bit of pathing respec over here, but other than that, right, we're running Whisper of Doom, so we would have Sniper Mark on top of having the conductivity, which we self-cast. It's a little bit clunky in the early game, but eventually, once you get to the damage PoB, it's very simple. We are casting Arcanist Brand, and we are using Frenzy to give us Power Charge and Frenzy Charge, and that would give us like tons of damage. I don't actually think this PoB is unachievable at all. I don't really use any crazy unit here. Well, I guess Unnatural Instinct is like day 4, day 5, you know, if you don't play a lot. But yeah, nothing too crazy. As I said before, in case the league mechanics require you to be tanky, require your character to be tanky, I do have a PoB here for the tanky setups. But most likely what's gonna happen is I will end up doing updates during the league, so, you know, ideally, I want to play with more damage. When you're playing totems, I think evasion setup is good enough, right? Ideally, you don't get hits, because I don't think pushing too much effective HP on the Scion is that good. But yeah, just in case anyone want to be tanky, highly recommend you to take a look at this tree. I take Gladiator, so I can easily cap block, so this is true block cap without shenanigans of Glancing Blow. And then we also cap spell suppressions. And yeah, max 8 is still decent. Just gonna turn off Molten Shell here. But yeah, Tente, not great, but I guess it's good enough for softcore trade, which is the league I'm playing in. And yeah, if you want to play on a Scion, I think that's it for the Kinetic Fusillade Totems. Let me know if you have any questions, and I'll be updating my guy during the league as well. So come back and check out Hierophant. Thank you so much for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next video.